Are the bows
You'll do a better job.
Can you do me a favor? Just hold this.
She will do that.
Can you do that?
She's the expert.
Just have to hold it.
Just a sec.
She's the camera. I'm the actor.
Oh wow, this is lovely.
Is it running now?
Yeah, the numbers are going. It's running. You see the top.
Oh yeah, I
going,
see.
so
I
it must
see. I
be
see.
writing. So I was giving confidence that it's running. So
Okay.
the video is going.
They'll all know who you are. David Madeline and Bob over there is David's son. I think it's great to see so many people really come out to this. I think it's really a testament to how much David was cared for and loved by all of us. He was a member of the club for so many years. I'd also like to thank Audrey and Jeff because they were really the people that organized this and made all the arrangements. Went to see the park people and arranged for the tree to be planted for us. Who really did it for this lovely tree? I think it's Jeff. Jeff, this is your choice, right? His choice, yeah. And Serviceberry. He was insisting on the biggest tree. In the springtime when we come back when it's full of flowers. Oh, Serviceberry. What's the Latin name?
Jeff, could you tell us a little bit about the tree?
Well, I like it because it flowers together in the spring before the leaves come out.
What color?
It's just white.
White?
White.
Oh, that's great.
Cluster of white flowers. And then around early July, it has berries, very sweet purple berries. And it's loved by birds.
Oh, that's good.
So they'll consume it almost as soon as they're ready.
As they did with our sour cherries.
Yeah, these are very nice. Actually, humans like them. They're
tasty.
Really?
Like a berry, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So what month is it? We'll come time to come back back.
Yeah.
July?
July and the berries,
Berries that are good for humans.
but has blossoms earlier.
Can you hear Jeff over there?
Pretty well, yeah, pretty well. It blossoms in May, I guess.
It blossoms, yeah, as soon as the flowers come out first, and then the leaves will come out quickly after.
Flowers come out in May, Jeff?
Yeah, early May. They're a raceme, like this long.
I'd just like to say a couple of things about David, of course. David was the very first person I met in the field maps. Someone had mentioned to me about the club, and I called up, and my first trip was to Vermont, Devil Skulls, and David was driving, and he made me feel so welcome that I, decided I had to come back. And of course, that was about 25 years ago, and I've stayed in the club, and there's many outings. I remember David, who just loved the outdoors, which is why it's such a nice for us to plant a tree in his honor. And he was always so optimistic and happy to be outside. It didn't matter what the problems were. And I'd like to just maybe recall an anecdote, because he was so positive. And I remember one weekend we were going down to Saranac Lake for a canoe trip, and there was 3 of us in the car, and my car broke down. So I had to rent a car, and then we went to Saranac to the marina to see if there was any messages for us. And of course I was thinking, okay, we'll have to get a campsite for 3 days, because we couldn't join them because they had arranged for a truck to take the canoes to where we were canoeing. But not David. David looked at the map and he said, oh, there's a portage we could do, and then we could meet up with them tomorrow. And I looked at the portage, and it was only 1.5 miles. We'd never ever done a portage before. But for David, it was an adventure. You know, everything was an adventure. So we decided we would try it, and so we took off in our canoes and camped somewhere, and the next day did this hell of a portage because we weren't prepared for anything like that. 1.5 miles is just a long way. And of course, David always had these bags of tinned food that weighed a ton. So we did actually make it, and we had to do 2 or 3 portages. I can't remember how many times we had to go back and forth, and I was ruining the day I ever listened to him. But it was David. Everything was an adventure. And the next day we arrived and met the other field maps, and they just couldn't believe our story, but so be it.
You portaged.
Yes, we did. It was amazing.
Well, I
Anyway.
have one little thing to say.
Yes.
Many times I resented you guys, and many times I thought he is more married to the field nuts than nuts.
Yes,
He says, don't be so. He was very angry when I called you field nuts. What's the ultimate? The ultimate, I could fire at him to make him mad.
I understand that you have a poem that David's son thought.
That's right.
Would you like to read the poem, would you?
Yeah, I don't know if I've met you all before. I'd just like to thank you all so much for coming out. I know a lot of you came out to my father's funeral, and our family was really touched by that, and I really wasn't expecting this, nor was I expecting this kind of turnout this afternoon. So both me and my mother are very touched, and I didn't realize just the impact and how David was such a big part of the group, and how he was one of the founding members of the group, and he was a real driver for activities and events and organizing and scheduling. I didn't realize till these discussions today and at the funeral just how much he was a part of the field naturalist. So thank you once again for all coming. I mean, my dad was always such a gentle, kind-hearted, good man. And he just nothing he loved more than the outdoors. And he was sort of set an example for me in that it really didn't matter what sort of trials and tribulations you're going through in life, that the outdoors was enough to keep you happy, to keep you content. That was enough for a man. And that's really, if nothing else, that was fine. And I still remember we would often, every summer, we would go on a family vacation. And whatever that trip was, whatever that journey was, if there was a sign for waterfall, David loved waterfall. Didn't matter what time of the day it was, if it was late, we'd have to go off the beaten path and find that waterfall before he went anywhere else. He loved waterfalls.
And I had to cook our supper by moonlight all the time. We had a little tent trailer, and I never got into the tent trailer before midnight.
And he had a pretty unique sense of humor. They weren't sure if he was serious or if he was mocking
Just
you or
trying to
being
get
funny.
your goat.
A little tint of sarcasm. But this is a tribute from my mother to my father that I would like to read to you. I will be close by when the day shall come and I shall die. All of you, do not mourn for me, for I will be somewhere in your vicinity. You will find me in the sundown when the water bird lifts its wings to fly into the night, or even in a faraway hooting owl greeting the night with his delight. I'll be watching your dreams in the silence of the woods of the night. If you wish to feel my presence, just drive into the forest and stop at the roadside. Listen to the gentle whisper of the foliage, and you can hear me. I shall be there. Just smile at a flower, a butterfly, or a little bird. Smile at a blinking star on a faraway horizon. When the shadows of the night caress you, gently just smile. I, from the eternal existence place, will also smile back to you on earth, sending you all joy, peace, and love. David. Thank you.
And he sees us all standing here.
That's right.
Where's the fire?
You got a ferocious appetite. If you didn't finish your lunch, he'd finish it for you.
You're not telling us something we don't know. Especially home baking. You
Home
never have
baking,
anything.
cookies.
We really wonder how to make how much he loved you guys. On our 45th wedding anniversary, Father in St. Luke's taught something very special for Madeline and David, and they went through a lot of trouble. They made a choir up and made all kinds of goodies, and everything was ready for the early mass on Sunday. And I said to David, now you remember they went through a lot of trouble. They expect us, and we have to be there. What? We're going to the Adirondacks. I don't know. I said, David, you cannot do that. The Father will be very angry, and he will be hurt, insulted. All right. So the morning came, and he slid it out from under his blankets and went out, and I figured, well, he's getting ready. He did all right. He brought his big hiking boots, an old pair of socks. I said, David, do you know today is the day that we celebrate our 45th wedding anniversary? Oh, the heck with it, I'm going with the field nuts.
No wonder that you resent us.
Off he went, and I was so devastated, so ashamed, but I said, let them see how he treats me. So I hobbled over alone, and the priest says, where is David? I said, he went off with the field net. He says, what? And he was just shaking his head. I thought it's going to fall off his shoulders. But I never saw David until the stars came up.
Would anybody else like to add anything?
I'd just like to really thank Magdalene for finding this wonderful poem. She spent a lot of time getting a good translation, and it really is beautiful, and it really epitomizes really the feeling of David and his love for the natural world, even beyond when he should have been here. But just the thought that he's with us when we're out walking in the woods, and feel that he is there, and has joined his good friend Marty Shapiro, has gotten wherever they are, and they're going on great hikes together, I think now. So it's nice to think that he's not alone. He's with another great pal of his. So thank you very much for having us, and very well read. We think of David often in our lives. Well, if anybody is interested, I have the text. That's I'm carrying that big load.
I'd like to mail them to everybody. Mail a copy to everybody.
How many do you? Should we just take them today?
I can photocopy if we don't have enough.
I have about 40 here.
Yeah, I'll need more, but that's okay. I can make
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll send them out with our newsletter because a lot of people can't come. They're elderly, and I'm sure they would love to get them.
So I will turn them over to you, and
If you wouldn't mind.
multiply them
Yes.
as you have the modern means of multiplying.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
I have something.
Yes, please. Bob.
Sorry. David and I were we were coming down Katahdin in Maine, the highest
Oh
mountain
no,
in Maine.
not that one.
And, well, you thought I threw him down the mountain, but that's not it.
I only saw his friends and his underwear, and the hose were as big as two of my
He had
palms.
these rubber boots and they got full of water because we were coming down and it started raining. The rain was horizontal. It was terrible. We were coming down Cathedral, so they were big boulders. And the third guy was so scared, he just ran down. We lost him. And I had said, let's stick together. David stayed with me. We hid under the between the rocks. Most of the rain fell. We walked over, saw the guy in the parking lot. David's boots were full of water. Full of water. He just took them off and never complained.
Never complained.
Another time we were doing Les Îles Mégans kayaking, and we were out 7 days on the water. It was in salt water. Les Îles Mégans, it's past 7 islands, and David hadn't kayaked those days, and I had trained him for that summer. So we were going to do it in August, and he'd started training in the spring, and he was training every day with one of the kayaks I lent him, and he did wonderful. I mean, jeez. And we went through some very precarious situations where there were storms. Never was scared, So,
When he should have been scared, he was never scared.
So anyone else go ahead?
I just remember one of the. Oh, just
Go ahead.
so go ahead. Or you're much
Well,
longer.
there are too many stories to tell, but just elaborating on his sense of adventure, which was truly there within him. He wanted to join me on one of my backpacking trips along the Finger Lakes Trail. I don't think he's done any backpacking before. He said, "Sure, come along." And he joined me, and he had a pack full of all kinds of goodies and tin cans and so on. And there was someone else with us, and he went on ahead. And the only way I knew that he wasn't too far ahead was the jangling of the pots and pans behind his backpack. So that was one criteria. The other thing is he didn't always believe in following trails. He followed the dictum of Frost, on the road less traveled. And he would take that road many times. So I was up on a low-lying ridge, and I was turning around, where's David? I was waiting, and my friend James was waiting up ahead. So he decided, well, we'll walk a ways and stop. And there was a road down below, quite a ways down below, and there was one solitary figure walking along that road. And I looked at my binoculars, who was it? It was David. And we yelling away, we're up here. And he came up our way through all kinds of brambles, cut up and everything. It didn't bother him at all. He said, oh, I didn't see you up here, first. And so that was one of the many stories I could tell you, but thank you for the opportunity.
I have one there that you probably very interested to know about. Dave was also a member of the
CMC.
Right.
About 10 years ago, we went hiking. It was an overnight thing we did, and we were on an island somewhere. And we were a large group, and there was one fella there. All he did was smoke one joint after another throughout the entire day. I have no interest in that. Most of the people there did not. Anyway, in the evening, we had supper, and we were all gathered around the campfire. Of course, this guy took out a joint, started passing it around. So most people refused it. It got to David. What's this? That's a pot, David. Well, what am I supposed to do with it? So I'm supposed to inhale it. And there's David, smoking a joint. I mean, he had to be seen to be believed. And he got nothing out of it, just passed it to the next person. David smoking a joint. I mean, that took the cake,
No.
Well, I was just going to say that, we all have great memories and remember very much David's great love of nature and the outdoors. But I also think we should, remember that he also had a love of learning. And
He did. He had
the
very curious
learning
mind.
and retirement
Always
program
inquisitive.
was something. I'm
Always asking
telling you, there were
questions.
times when I think we were doing the Point St. Charles visit. And, he was having trouble walking, but he was adamant that he had to go down to see the professor on that day when he was, as I say, could barely walk. But you had to admire him for that. And the other thing that comes to mind is when I forget. I think it's we were down in Vermont at Martha's, and anyway, we were swimming at one place or another, and David goes into the water and then sort of stumbles and falls down. So there are about 5 or 6 of us, I think all women,
I have a picture.
pulling him up. And the more he laughed, the more he resisted our pulling him up. He was just in his element. So many beautiful women, getting full attention. Yeah, exactly.
Any other anecdotes that anybody would like to share?
I think you guys are a bit negative toward David. Hey, David was last. Hey, David was last. David was. You always get back home. He was always there.
A few scrapes,
So I don't think
some
we're
hats.
always saying he was last. It was the way he was like this. He like.
That was
be
David.
You
lost
don't know
in
anything
nature.
about his lean-to night, did you?
His what?
Do you remember that young man who was tag along David because his parents wouldn't lend them their car, so always got David. So they came 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, they were going to the Adirondacks. And I tagged them duty and I said, come back.
But I must admit that he was lost too, because once I was with Ellie and we were skiing, and it was the end of the day, very cold, and I said, "Hey, I hear a voice," and I was hearing, "Help, help!" And David was coming, help! He was totally lost, but it was normal for him.
What time was that? What time of the day?
Winter time,
I was waiting. You had a nice dinner ready for him. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Then I came to be early. Now, who shall I call? I can't call the people from the field nuts. They were outside your jurisdiction, and I can't call the police here because I didn't have a clue where the hell they went to. What can I do? I tried to pray, I couldn't pray. I tried to read, I couldn't read. It was 3, 4 in the morning. I said I have to get myself a little rest, but you cannot relax. You just cannot relax. And I just slumbered off. All of a sudden, I hear Gabor, David. Here they were, 5 or 6 in the morning. What did you do? Oh, we got lost on the mountain. How did you come down? By flashlight. I don't know which mountain it was, but it was very, very high up. One mountain wasn't enough. They always did 2 or 3. I think.
And
Then they found the lean-to. Then they found the lean-to, and they slept there for a while. But they were like icicles when they woke up. I said, "Serves you damn right. Come home into your bed." But I was so relieved. I mean, how many nights I sweat through because he had the adventure.
You're right, Magdalene. We saw one side of David, but you had other sides. Might best be left unsaid.
Yeah.
But he was his own true spirit, I'll tell you that much.
Because of this, and I remember one trip many years ago to Forêt-Barreau, and I didn't really know Forêt-Barreau very well. And David was leading a hiking trip there in the Lanaudière, and I remember asking him, phoning him, said, "Well, how far is it?" "Oh," he said, "I don't really know, maybe 6 kilometers, maybe 12. Is it a loop?" "Oh, I don't really know." He didn't know very much, and anyway, we ended up going. And it turned out to be quite long, and it was a very rainy day.
Oh, I remember that.
And we heard somebody calling from the forest, and I thought, oh, maybe somebody's lost. What shall we do? And anyway, I was so annoyed at the whole thing that when we got back, I decided to organize a
wilderness orientation course. And I did. Just a wilderness navigation course. And about 14 or 15 field nets came. And they learned how to orient themselves. David came. And he learned something. He came on a few official orienteering sessions in parks. And he did the easy course. He tended to follow people ahead of him, but it doesn't matter. But he got something out of it.
He always did.
Yeah, I organized it twice, a year or 2 years later, and some people learned how to use a compass and follow a bearing and other things as well. Just generally how not to get lost, you know, in the woods. So that was a good outcome. And he tried. And he did get somewhat better.
He always got something out of, except I was always getting the bottom of everything.
Yeah, I realized that. Yeah.
Well, this is the one I'm going to circulate around. I just want to draw your attention to this little sentence at the end. My dear friend who helped me to lay this out because she had experience in it, and she typed it for me because they took away my typewriter, they took away, they thought I don't need any of those things anymore. So there I wasn't going to write it out. And there somebody bravely said, these old zippy frilled naturalists never die, they just fade away.
That's true.
That was a popular song with MacArthur. Yes. Old soldiers never die, they just fade away. Wow. There is an old mess hall not far away, where we get pork and beans 3 times a day. And nights we never see, even when we on KP, and we are gradually fading away. All the old soldiers never die, never die, never die. They just fade away. And that's what David did. And we put it on the paper. It was Tracy who stuck that in, but I think David would get a kick out of it. Yeah.
You will be going to the restaurant, will you? After this, are you coming?
Yes, we go. Yeah.
So if you can keep that in your bag, and then later on,
I don't want to do it here because it's cold and it's windy.
And we all have. We're all going to do some shoveling, and we have a number of spades here. And if all of you would like to put some earth on the tree, and then. Yes, and then we can put the flowers on afterwards. Would you like me to take